So, please.
Thank you, Dr. Nakamura. Morning, everyone. I'm Makoto Natsume from KK, moderator of this session. I'm honored to introduce our keynote lecturer, Professor Ryo Esaki, President of Yokohama College of Pharmacy and Chairman of the Science and Technology Promotion Foundation of Ibaraki. He was born in 1925 at Osaka. He graduated from University of Tokyo in 1947. He then worked in electronics industry. While he worked in a company now known as Sony Corporation, he discovered ESAKI tunneling diode, which led him to Stockholm eventually. In 1960, he went to the States and joined IBM Thomas J. Watson Research Center. After he worked for more than 30 years, he was back to Japan in 1992 as the president of University of Tsukuba. Since then, he works as president of various universities and foundations. In 1973, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics for the experimental discoveries regarding tunneling phenomena in semiconductors. You will hear more details from him. Today, he will tell us putting quantum principles into practice, research on tunneling and superlattices. Professor Esaki, please.
Okay, thank you for a nice introduction. And distinguished guests, lecturers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is ESAKI. May I have the next slide, please? My talk is something like little informal. I understand the materials you will distribute after this talk, but anyway, I talk student discovery ESAKI tunnel diode, which Natsume mentioned, and move United States and superlattice research. And finally, I like to evaluate my research on the basis of citation data by Thomson Reuters, Web of Science. May I have the next slide, please? On behalf of Science Academy of Tsukuba, I would like to welcome many of who came from attend first meeting in this Congress Center. I've been here. I'm actually Director General of this whole Congress Center, so I would offer special word welcome for those travel long distance to Tsukuba Science. May I have next slide, please? Science City is already Professor Kobayashi mentioned. This is the world's largest scientific community, 16,000 scientists and about 300 government and private organizations. And this city constructed 1960, 70, 80. Japanese government invested nearly 2兆5000億, about 25 billion US dollars, which is comparable to what U.S. government spent Apollo project in 1960. I don't know which is more valuable investment. I don't know. But may I have the next slide, please? Tsukuba Science City is a very significant achievement. One such example, discovery of carbon nanotube, which is stimulating nanoscience, nanotechnologies. And the 1960s, President Tsukuba, we I was the president of University of Tsukuba, and this Tsukuba Advanced Research Alliance, I'd like to collaborate with government and industry. A dynamic research exchange meeting is necessary to stimulate creativity, imagination, research, already mentioned. The Congress Center, this center serves as the core facility of research conference, and this is opening 1999. This is so about more than 3 million people's use of this facility. May I have next slide, please? I'd like to mention my personal history. Already mentioned, I was born 1925. Probably I'm most senior person of all these peoples, and moved from Kyoto and moved from Tokyo and graduated 1947. Actually, I graduated something like 65 years ago. It's hard to believe, but anyway. And then I started the Kobe Kogyo Corporation, and this ESAKI tunnel diode. Probably I received, as far as experimental wise, probably I received Nobel Prize at the most cheapest price. But anyway, that's, I don't know if this is proud or not, but anyway, usually the research is very expensive. This superlative research, I need tremendous research fund. Certainly I get from government, U.S. government to this fund. But anyway, that's next, please. And I moved to the United States in 1960, joined IBM T.J. Watson Research Center in New York, where I designed quantum structures, which is one of the subjects of today's. And I got the Japan Prize in 1960, and then I was voted. Usually, the president of this National University Tsukuba is decided by elections. So I was elected of this one. So sort of at that time I came back to Japan. So that's 1992. And then I got many other things, and I'm president of Science Academy of Tsukuba. Next, please. So student days, I just mentioned student days. When the Second World War ended, I was 20. I was 1945, this war ended. I belong to the generation grew up in Japan during the war, graduate right after the defeat, and going afterward in turmoil. The particular generation must have undergone very unique experience, which is nobody had. Under wartime conditions, death and destruction felt all too close to us. We seriously question ourselves, what should be our top priority? Is the most essential thing of all. We somehow thirsted for truth of university. I was fascinated, this is important, I'd like to mention, the progress of science. For science has indeed enhanced our human ability substantially by using the power of reason, by our creativity. So I dream of becoming student in inquiry science mind. I entered physics university 1944. This is 1 year war ended. May I have next slide, please? On the evening, March 7th, early next morning, March 10th, city of Tokyo suffered horrendous incinerated bomb attack by U.S. Air Force, resulting in nearly 1 million people victims, including 100,000 dead. I was bombed out of my belongings, but fortunately, I was able to rescue most of my personal belongings. Unfortunately, I don't have much belongings anyway. Although many people had a sleepless night at the university, Professor Tanaka, Tsutomu Tanaka, I still very clearly remember, surprisingly began to teach his course of class on experimental physics 8 a.m. sharp, as though nothing has happened. We are force immense in the world of physics, leaving humans' calamity outside. We are taught that learning had to be top priority, no matter what happened. It was then we realized how awesome the academicism of Tokyo Imperial University was. As a matter of fact, I turned 20 2 days later on March 12th. May I have next slide, please? 1945, I was a student at the University of Quantum Mechanics, developed by Heisenberg. Everybody knows Schrödinger. Has not yet been widely disseminated in Japan at that time. Nevertheless, we students are very fascinated by introducing innovative concepts such as energy quantum by Planck, the quantum model of atoms by Niels Bohr, and uncertain frames Heisenberg. Duality matters, this all you know of this one. We had recognized far-reaching influence quantum revolution that occurred earlier 1925. I'm talking about 1947 or something like that. May I have next slide, please? So then I had to think about my future. What should I do with my life? What I aim best? What is my mission in life? There is ultimate question which will rule the future. The main purpose of receiving proper education, adequate answer for above question, which is indispensable to plan the course of life. May I have next slide, please? Course of life can be considered a drama in which you play a leading role. Point at is who is scenario writers? You or somebody else. In democratic society, since you can decide your own future, you yourself should be scenario writer. When I graduated from university, I wrote a unique scenario for myself. I would like to put new knowledge of quantum mechanics to practical use. 1945, after graduate, I moved on life as a researcher in electronic industry, where I explore possibility creating quantum electronic device. Coincidentally, 1947 was the year in which epoch-making transistor was invented at Bertelholm Laboratory. May I have next slide, please? Advent of transistor is a great breakthrough, everybody. I'm talking about 1947. There is a tendency, especially stable society, to assume the future is simply natural extension of the past and present. However, transistor is a substantially different from vacuum tube, which is widely used at that time. And no amount of research and improvement vacuum tube could have led to the discovery of could have birth of transistor. That taught us important lesson in period of great change. Innovations and breakthrough shape and form the future. Needless to say, it is the power of individual creativity which played indecisive role in this process. May I have next slide, please? This is the most beautiful some picture. I have taken many pictures, but this is the most beautiful picture, 1930. May I have next slide, please? This is my student today. This is Kyoto. Kyoto is one of the old cities of Japan. I hope you have some opportunity. This is some cherry blossom, that's 1947. May I have next slide, please? This is all of this student. May I have next slide, please? This is 1952. I was 27 years old. So that's, may I have next slide, please? Advent of transistor would inspire me studying semiconductor in early stage. At 1955, technology of GNP developed the offer. So junction property include breakdown is reverse direction. McAfee, Ryder, Shockley, Spark at Bertelholm Laboratory all asserted low voltage breakdown germaniums. More specifically, they show 10 voltage breakdown result from Zener mechanism. That is interband electron tunneling from valence band to the in the p region to empty conduction band. This is what they claim. Shockley is inventor of transistors. You know. May I have next slide? This is some paper of that observation of Zener. Zener current means Zener proposed electron tunneling, so that the tunneling current. May I have next slide, please? This is this, but this is Zener's 1936. This is very elegant theory, but actually most breakdown is avalanche process rather than tunneling. But anyway, next slide, please. Okay, so I'll skip next, please. So later study support Zener mechanisms and will therefore conclude breakdown germanium junction always do the avalanche mechanisms, as I mentioned. And Zener had proposed quantum mechanical interband tunneling as a source of. So this sophisticated electron tunneling mechanism had never been proved to be important reality at that time. So at that time, everybody think this proposal is sort of creative failure. That's in science field, many creative failure exist. This was the situation in 1960. I was initiating Zener mechanism. I really tried to make Zener, the PN junctions. If you dope very heavily, you can get very narrow PN junctions. And the next, please. This is what this is just the subside. The Democritus, one of the great natural philosophers, is the Greek. He mentioned to the everything exists in the universe is a fruit of chance and necessity. That's what. So, you experimental results. You have to think about which is the necessity, which is the chance. But anyway, this is a regular PN junction. I would dope very heavily. I get this junction. This is what I'm excited because there's no chance of avalanche. Avalanche mechanism is electron hole creation. So at least more than energy gap, you have to apply the energy gap. So energy gap is 0.7. So this is breakdown 0.2. So this is, I'm happy. So this is what we wanted. And then if you dope a little more heavily, I expected I get this is, after we get this one, we realize this is very natural, but this is a sort of chance. I'm not smart enough to expect of this negative resistance, I would say. May I have the next slide, please? The backward diode, which is conductive, this approximates 20 nanometer, and then to get 10 nanometer. And anyway, so since current peaks as a negative resistance, ESAKI diode, the very first quantum, this is quantum came a total surprise in this. This is interesting aspect of that. You can get sometimes the chance is help. We have next slide, please. So everybody probably know you just get this is PN junctions. So distance is about 10 nanometers. If you apply the little voltage electron tunnel from here to here in this empty place. If you go a little further, this impurity band, sometimes you can get electron tunneling, but this is, you cannot no tunneling. If you get more higher voltage, you obviously regular diffusion current. This is what mechanism. May I have next slide, please? So electron tunneling. Go this time. May I have next slide? This is electrons has a genus-like duality. This is the genus. Genus has a genus called Japan and the US. So, but anyway, to that the particle and the nature. May I have the next slide, please? This is I took a took a picture in Alexandria. Sometime this is a picture of that genus. One side is the electrons, and once the other side wave. May I have the next slide, please? So this is a very happy time, 1957. This is the president of Sony and Ibuka. I was 32 years old. May I have next slide, please? This is another Walter Bratton. This is another Nobel laureate to discover the inventor of that transistors. Visited 1957. This is Sony's company's people very assembled to that transistors. May I have next slide, please? So this is a paper published to that Ryo ESAKI, and that's Tokyo Tsushin Kogyo. This is before the name. Sony's name came 1958, but this paper presented 1957. This is what we have a next slide. So this is a curve. May I have next slide, please? So this is very close to that. This is a very famous Hokusai's. I like this picture. This is a volt current. You have get the current and negative resistance here. Even to oscillate here, so that the wave oscillate. This is Hokusai's more than, I think 20. more than 200 years ago, 19. May I have next slide, please? So I visited to that first, 1958, I visited Brussels. This is, there is expo at Brussels, so that this is people's enjoying, European people enjoying peace. This is 13 years after war ended. May I have a next slide? William Shockley's Nobel laureate, he received Nobel in 1956. So he was the keynote speaker. And he mentioned, Shockley, he mentioned many other things, but one of the most beautiful demonstrations of Zener effect so far achieved is to be presented at this ESAKI Tokyo. So because of this comment, a large audience attracted my presentation. I found myself standing in the spotlight of semiconductors, and particularly at that time, my English is so bad that nobody can understand my English, so people pay more attention to that. May I have the next slide? This is Shockley. I was thought the most senior person, but he is only 48. I'm a 30, his wife. May I have the next slide, please? So after I traveled in the United States, with the Bell Laboratories, certainly, I got the bust of Alexander Graham Bell, and Scottish-born American audiologist that stand in the foyer of main story. Leave the beaten track occasionally, dive into the wood. You'll be certain to find something you have never seen. Maybe next slide, please. This is a statue you can find the Murray here at the Bell Lab, New Jersey. And this leave the beaten track. I would attempt to leave the Japanese beaten track and dive into American wood. In 1959, a fever of research into ESAKI diode spread over the United States, a number of research, so I moved to the United States at 1960. But before that, I just mentioned a few things. May I have the next slide, please? This ESAKI diode is that I left Japan in 1960, and I brought of ESAKI diode maybe 3 dozen in my pocket. I like to have a test of this, shelf test of this one, and so 50 years. So 2010 is 50 years when I left Japan. I opened to my ESAKI diode to see what happened of this one. This shelf test. Shelf life of most semiconductor transport device supposed almost infinite because diffusion length impurity is certain. But tunnel diode, I worry about just the junction area is very high built-in field, is probably millions centimeter per volt per centimeter junction region. So I will just worry. This is why I self-test. May I have the next slide? So I most sensitive. The recent measurement, current voltage characteristic, we discovered a very small but tangible reduction. So average 3.3% reduction in peak current has been observed after 50 years. This reduction, so I age more than my tunnel diode. So gratify confirmation ESAKI diode longness. May I have the next slide, please? This is peak current I'm talking about. This is most sensitive to that junctions. May I have next slide? This is the peak current 1960 I measured, 1921, 50 years. You can see clearly reduction of this one. So average, this is 3.3%. May I have the next slide, please? So Nature, I published much. The ESAKI diode still a radio star half a century on. This is what Nature says. May I have the next slide, please? Most recent ESAKI diode is this is Schulman's. He made of this one. This is indium arsenide gallium antimonide ESAKI diode. Apparently, being best high frequency diode RF detection use appropriate for millimeter wave 19.4 gigahertz camera, which is one of the most advanced equipment for security check in the airport. So maybe you are tested by ESAKI diode for an airport. May I have the next slide, please? So moving United States, as I mentioned, and I offer IBM's Watson Research Center. I thought it would be desired research environment. And 19th, I was Nobel Prize ESAKI diode. I will show you a picture of taken 1916 Lindau, Nobel Laureate, who participated in quantum revolution. I mentioned Felix Bloch. She is one of the early theoreticians of this solid state. May I have the next slide? This is the pictures took 1979. So this is the Ram. This is Philip Bloch. This only half. This is Wignas. This is Rabi. This is a tin. This is not physics. This is economics. But anyway, this is Paul Dirac. Is still alive. He received 1933 Nobel Prize. Schwingers, and this ESAKI. So this is. May I have the next slide, please? So Felix Bloch, 1928, he applied full machinery quantum mechanics problem, electric conduction solid, spearheading the development of modern theory of solid, the 1930-1940. It is essentially following great rule. Periodic potential is crystal lattice determine band structure and thus electronic properties. So my idea is somehow can we control to the potential, periodic potential lattice. This is my idea. May I have the next slide, please? Oh, this is the Felix Bloch. This is 1928. So that's, this is very illuminating. May I have the next slide, please? So 1996, ESAKI 2 proposed semiconductor superlattice, man-made periodic structure, which is engineered by growth of MB after designing structure in accordance principle of Bloch theory. Such exhibit unprecedented electronic properties that is based on Bloch golden rule that periodic potential. So that is constant in this proposal superlattice, which we can decide according to our intention. This is the range of 10 to the nanometers, which is much greater than, substantially longer than host crystal, but shorter than electron phase coherence length. This is important condition. May I have the next slide, please? So this is this Ray 2, and he born to China and then went to the Hong Kong. I think after revolution, his family left to that China, I guess. But he is very bright to the person. Maybe next slide. So our proposal is that just make periodic structure by PN junctions. This is a little dirty, but anyway, PN or constellation is gallium aluminum arsenide, gallium arsenide. This is mostly we are pursuing this one. May I have next slide, please? So this is the first my announcement is Rochester, New York, and 1969. So I'm a chairman actually to that, but anyway, I propose super lattice and negative conductive semiconductor ESAKI IBM. May I have next slide, please? This paper published the IBM research because this paper was rejected by Physical Review, but anyway, so IBM journal. So this is the papers. So. Study of superlattice observation, quantum mechanical effect on new physical scale may provide variable area of investigation in the field of semiconductor. This is what I emphasize when I open, primarily to get money from government. May I have next, please? This is the idea. First, double barriers we can get. Then we can propose superlattice. And then to the, at that time is molecular beam epitaxy technique developed at the Bell Laboratory. We use that technique to use. May I have next slide, please? With many gallium arsenide, aluminum arsenide, you get this one. This is staggered of this one, and misaligned indium arsenide, gallium antibonide, which is I mentioned most recent to the Schulman's result. And one is header. You can get many kind of that superlattice. May I have next slide, please? Engineers build a quantum structure such desired superlattice constant is much more. So large lattice constant superlattice make subdivision of brilliant into series minion and also realization of Stark lattice Bloch oscillation arising from electric quantization. This is the most important. You have a textbook, you can electric quantization, but reality, you cannot reality. May I have a next slide, please? So electric quantizations, this electric, usually electric condition satisfied with this condition. You have this is omega B is that Bloch oscillation, the angular frequency of Bloch oscillation. Bloch oscillation is decided. So in condition satisfy this condition, you have the D should be larger than should be large. So effect is hardly observable in ordinary crystal, but because of large lattice constant, super-lattice condition could fulfill with reasonable field of this one, something like 10,000 voltage. Magnetic quantization, always you get high magnetic field, no problems. So this is what my interesting of this one, which is, may I have a next slide, please? Since one periodic potential introduced lattice, we sought elegant, simple example, one-dimensional quantum physics, resonant electron tunneling, chronic periband, static localization, Bloch oscillation, which all main textbook experience could now, first time to practice in lab, do it self-quantum mechanics would be possible. Since this approach makes a Gedanken experiment reality, the proposed super-lattice apparently brought about great dream in semiconductor, opening up vast quantity of exploration. May I have next slide, please? So static lattice, you have applied electric field, you can create static lattice. Usually crystal, you cannot all smeared of this one, but the super-lattice, you can get very clearly. May I have next slide, please? You see, resonant tunneling, this is, you can, if two barriers very close each other, you can create bound state in between. This distance is 50 angstroms of this, for instance, 5 nanometer, for instance. If the incident electrons coincide of bound state, electron goes through without attenuation. This is a resonant effect. This is something analogous to Fabry-Perot resonator. You know Fabry-Perot resonators. And so if transmission coefficient is that unity of this area. So this is a resonant tunnel. This is the idea originally we came, so use of this idea. May I have next slide, please? So if you have a applied voltage, if you have a coincide voltage, electron goes through, and if you apply more non-resonance, if you get the resonance, non-resonance. So this experiment, may I have a next slide, please? This experiment did Leroy Chance and ESAKI and Ray 2, 1947. Unfortunately, Leroy, he passed away, but this is the first observation of this bound state. Not very clear as IV character. You have small bump, small negative resistance. This is probably first observation, man-made bound state in semiconductors. May I have next slide, please? Then if you met the band, this is chronic penny band, you have created allowed the band E1, E2 separated by energy gap of this one. As far as energy wave vector relationship, usually you can get sort of parabolic, but if you have this distance, you have a mini Brillouin zone. You have a mini Brillouin zone. So you can get an unusually wave vector energy relationship. So that you can, so for instance, this is effective mass at inflection point, effective mass change is signed. For instance, electron from here applied get energy. If you pass this inflection point, energy get a negative. So that's the negative resistance. If you go round here, this is called Bloch oscillation. So actually, Bloch never predicted Bloch oscillation. Actually, to the Zina emphasized Bloch oscillation. May I have the next slide, please? So equations, I'm not going to that. I don't have enough time. But if you fool to the path integration method, the simple calculations, you can current is a field current relationship in this funny relation. If field is very low, you can ignore as current proportional field. But field becomes very high, this becomes dominant. So current proportional 1 over F. This is what simply. May I have next slide, please? So if proposed of this one, you get this kind of relations. This is the current. May I have next slide? So early 1972, we thought we observed negative resistance with early this. May I have next slide? The other things is many things, interesting thing exists is that if you have the allowed band is very narrow, is this domain is a formation, so you can get oscillatory effect of this this IB character. This is superlattice. This is IB characteristic. May I have next slide, please? So many people pursue the observation ESAKI to negative differential superlattice. This is the French people's confirmed to our results. May I have next slide? So this is soon after this very smart Russians that Saris is that he mentioned possibility amplification of electromagnetic wave in semiconductor superlattice. Of course, we early stage we recognize this one, but he is more explicitly the emphasize of this one. May I have next slide? So, but this was realized quantum cascade rays at the Bell people's. Federico Capasso is a very smart person. He is 1994. He is using of this technique of this. May I have next slide, please? This is Capasso also did superlattice laser, but anyway, may I have next slide, please? The idea is that the quantum cascade laser is that this is energy electron injected in here. You get the upper band. You can get the lasing conditions of the whole materials applied electric field. May I have next slide, please? The other thing is the Prof oscillation. This is Carl Leo. This is the first observations. May I have next slide, please? The interesting Prof oscillation is the Philip Prof is that, as I mentioned, Zena is 1934. I proposed 1970. Carl Leo in 1992. It takes a long time to observe the Prof oscillation experimentally. May I have next slide, please? Just I mentioned to that hand waving argument, what is Prof oscillation? Ordinary semiconductor conduction band and the valence band. If you have a superlattice, you make the mini allowed band and mini forbidden band. May I have next slide, please? If you apply the electric field, this is called Zener tunneling from here to here. But usually it's very hard to observe the Zener tunneling. But anyway, if you have a man-made superlattice, you can get the Bloch oscillation and then to the Zener tunneling. So this is the Bloch oscillation, and the Zener tunneling is this is the Zener tunneling. So it is very easy to observe Bloch oscillation and the tunneling if you make a superlattice structure. May I have next slide, please? Bloch oscillation is very important. The superlattice is microscopic quantum effect similar to Josephson effect observed the weakly coupled superconductors. Probably you know Josephson effect, but anyway, in both cases, DC electric field applied to the system, AC field is generated. This is very wonderful to the we want to this one. Bloch oscillation frequency VD is given by this is field, uniform electric field, D is superlattice constant. And whereas Josephson effect is this equation to this B is that frequency is given by, so there is some similarity, of course, this is applied voltage condition. May I have next slide, please? So technology gap is called that photonic device, many lasers, many photonic device. This is the frequency. And this is electron devices. So the terahertz regions, sort of this called technology gap. We like to have a Bloch oscillation is suitable this one, but unfortunately at this moment the power created by superlattice is little too weak to be practical use. May I have the next slide, please? ESAKI, this is the research. We got the negative resistance, interesting, high electron mobilities, large exotonic binding energies, many interesting effects tracked out. And this actually is that HEMT, high electron mobility transistors, this emergence of this high tunnel diode, performance injection lasers, quantum cascade high performance. May I have the next slide, please? This is what I studied in 1916 at Bell, at the IBM's research. May I have the next slide, please? This is IBM's pictures, 1988. May I have the next slide? This 1992, I came to United States, get the president of the farewell parties on. This is Leroy's. I already mentioned. Unfortunately, he passed away 3 years ago. This is Ray Tew, which mentioned, and many. This is von Kriting. This is Nobel Laureate von Kriting, and that's Heine Rollers, and that's this is Eva Giebers. This is Cheney Yang, and this is Bromberg and Nobel Laureate. That's 7, 8 Nobel Laureate here. May I have next slide, please? This is research centers, IBM's. This is a wonderful research center designed by Eero Salinen, Finnish-born US architect. May I have the next slide, please? So this is IBM's lobbies, IBM's semiconductor device innovation. This is actually one of the many milestone electronic engineering computing. T.J. Watson, first 25 years. And this is a milestone. One of this important is DRAM was invented at this condition. The other is superless crystal I mentioned here. May I have the next slide? This is Bob Dennard. He invented the DRAMs. May I have the next slide, please? So this is the picture. I will skip to that to give a talk at the University of Tsukuba. May I have the next slide? This is I got the Japan Prize 1980 because of superlatives. My wife, she was Emperor of Japan, and I'm Emperor, so not so very often we eat together with their majesties. But anyway, may I have the next slide, please? This is, I was the Yokohama College of Pharmacy of that one. I'm just, we have talking about student of this. May I have the next, please? Citation data, that's what I use, Thomson Reuters. My research activity started in 1947, where I graduated from University of Tokyo, virtually ended in 1992, when I returned to Japan as the position of the president. That position is not time to research. And it is informative evaluate my research activity on behalf of the citation data of Thomson. According to data, my paper was published and cited 15 of February 92. We are especially interested time cited for each paper. Generally, it indicates degree of impact of that paper. So this is. And this number of paper corresponding to more than 100, I got 100 citations. I have 30 papers, 100 citations. More than 500 is 8. More than 10 is only 3. More than 2,000, I have only 1 papers. So I 8 papers. This is 8 papers of 500. 8 papers cited more than 500 times, cited were cited 8,000. So my total paper citation is about 16,000. So that about half of this one is that 8 papers contributed half of my citation. May I have the next slide, please? So my publication distribution. This This I discovered ESAKI tunnel diode. This is publications. And then I proposed superlattice, and then to after 1992, I returned to Japan, so no publication of this one. So most publication is when I was activity with this one. Next is a citation. May I have next, please? Citation, I have a proposal. Citation is that the peak, citation peak is somewhat when I return this one, but this is my citation. It's gradually citation. Still, I have a citation. So, may I have a next slide? I will skip over this one. Next, please. I will skip also. Skip. Next. I will skip this one. Next. So, my major publication, year published, so this ESAKI tunnel diode, which I received Nobel Prize, I published in 1958. More than 500, this ESAKI tunnel diode. So superlattice, this is more than 2,000. This is 4 papers is more related of that superlattice. And the other papers of this diluted magnetic, this is also more than 6. I will just mention of this. May I have the next slide, please? So this is a paper I just mentioned to that ESAKI tunnel diode cited 600. This is superlattice more than 2,000. This another superlattice is more than this resonant tunneling, which I mentioned, is more than 1,000. This is a new transport superlattice. And Federico Capasso's, this quantum cascade laser, I mentioned. This is very 2,000. This is also this quantum cascade laser is very, very apparent, very popular. May I have the next slide, please? This is what interesting, how accumulated the number of times cited. This is ESAKI diode. This is ESAKI. This is gradually getting here, and somehow recently also citation is this accumulated number of citations 600, and superlattice. This is 1970 published. It's long taking off time, and then they started the taking off. It takes more than 10 years to that. So it is interesting to see of this curve to how people appreciate of that papers. And Capasso's quantum cascade laser started here. This very sharp increase, so that very people active of this quantum cascade laser. We have next slide. There are other 3 more than 500. This is, if you applied electric field in the quantum, this is exciton binding energy, quantum waves, and also variational calculation, quantum cascade electric field of this, and also diluted material. Those is that important, my contribution of this. We have next slide, please. So this is one of the 600 I got of this one. Binding energy quantum waves. May I have next, please? This is variational calculation quantum. This is very similar things, but may I have next slide, please? This is diluted magnetic field of semiconductors. This is the first papers putting diluted, putting the manganese in 3,5 compound is very small amount, but then this is very popular now. May I have next slide, please? So these 3 papers also interesting in the diluted magnetic field. It takes long taking off time. People appreciate very sharp growth. So may I have next slide? Next slide, please. This is probably last slide of this one. Interesting. Referee's comment 1964 by ESAKI-2 superlattice negative resistance was rejected by publication in physical reviews. This is summary. Paper is highly speculative and presents little material that already known, understood. Such arguments should be settled by reference internal laboratory already crowded journals the burden of this matter. So this is the reason crowded. But this paper and one of the most popular paper now. So when your paper was rejected, don't discourage. You might be, referee cannot evaluate of this one. I think this is end. May I have next slide? This is end. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for that attention to this.
Thank you very much, Professor ESAKI. I'm pretty sure everyone enjoyed your sense of humor. I'm also very impressed to hear that you made textbook Gedanken experiment into reality.
Yes.
Those were textbook Gedanken experiments. Mm-hmm. So we always wonder if it is true, but you showed it.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
If any questions?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now the session is open to questions and comments. Please feel free to raise your hand. Don't be shy. Does anyone have questions? He's here to answer your questions, and it is a very rare opportunity to ask questions to Nobel Laureate. So, oh, you have a card. Wait for microphone.
Thank you. That was a fantastic talk, first of all.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, so like it said last year, for example, there was over 300 citations on your work in one sense or another. Can you give an example of the work that's carried out today that's based on the work that you did in the 70s and the 80s?
Yes.
Do you know the people who are citing you today and basing some of their work on you? Could you give an example of that?
Yes.
What's being carried out today?
Yes, I think still people doing some research related to that superlattice or tunnel diode, so that this is what the web of science is that just indicate, and so this is the sort of informative to use of web of science to trace of this people's activity of this field, which field people's, and my work is somewhat to this related to the applications. Another statistic I didn't show this one. So this number of that patent of this one is also interesting to that which field that people take. When I proposed of 1970, certainly I got the patent of this. But patent usually expires in the United States is 15 years or 17 years, so that my original patent is all expired. This material becomes useful after my original patent is expired of this one. But anyway, to that, so the other things of this, this kind of project usually it is now is very very popular as the superlattice is that but when I started with this one, so that this is not really basic research, but also not really applied research. This is sort of in between, you see. So it's sometimes difficult to get money. So why I started with this one is I was nominated IBM Fellow. IBM's research center is many people studies, but IBM Fellow is that you can do basically position is the Fellow is the usually environment in the United States is the very candid evaluations and open comment. So that's what. People, as you said, is that physical review rejection. You see, of this is not only himself. Is many people think of this superlatives. So what is that? This is not really basic research, but also not really applied research. So difficult. But when in 1967, I was elected IBM fellow. So at that time, the president of IBM's T.J. Watson Jr. told me, and you can do whatever you like. So I decided to do this project. He didn't say you can spend money as much as you want. This is the problem of this one. So how I get money to this is, as I mentioned, ESAKI diode, to that tunnel diode, I didn't spend money, just we get heavy doped materials myself. This is the most cheapest Nobel Laureate, Nobel Prize I got of this one. But this, to make of this elaborate molecular beam epitaxy machines, machine itself costs is easily $1 million of this one. So how can I get money? This is not really practical use, also not very basic research. So you see, interesting thing is that United States Defense Department interested of this my basic research. So usually Army and Navy and Air Force has the fund of the basic research. This is, I'm talking about the United States. So I get money from Army Research Office. Army Research Office supported my research of this one. So, of course, this is a non-secret. I mean, it's quite open. They have, Army has the money from support of the basic research of this one, and then actually to the one of the person control Army Research Office basic research is John Bardeen. John Bardeen is also Nobel laureate. He supported my research. So I'm a freedom I get from T.J. Watson, president, and I got money from this. So that's what I get of this thing. So this. So this also the I just mentioned that very important is the strategy. What kind of strategy you have? This is more important than any knowledge of one. So what my first strategy to get the quantum mechanical tunneling, that's what ESAKI diode, that's what my strategy when I graduated. And when United States, my strategy to get man-made materials, quality is that you cannot see natural property, which you cannot see natural crystals. That's what my idea of this one. Okay. That's what,
So half a century ago, a lot of the amazing world-leading basic research was done in industrial labs like IBM and Bell Labs. Do you think that's still the case today? I know IBM's still going strong. Bell Labs seems to have scaled back a bit. Or would you advise young researchers if they want to do...
Yes, that's certainly that the nature of that industrial research lab is certainly changing with the time. So that certainly IBM's research is more emphasized is the software, more computer science. That's what originally they should be to that one. They have a reduce of that material research of this one. Even at the Barrett's that in that probably, I don't know much about recent study at Barrett's, but that the reduce of that material research of this one. For instance, that Capasso, I mentioned, he left. He's now Harvard of this one. He's not staying that Bell. Many people, very distinguished scientists left Bell to join to the academia. To that. So that's what the situation is. This.
First, thanks for your wonderful lecture. And so my question about what is still missing in the field? What is still missing in the field of the superlattice?
Superlattice, yes.
Yes. So the future of the research in the superlattice. So what is still missing?
You should find out. That is the important thing is that you have to decide of that good strategy. If you listen, somebody has an idea, so that don't listen to that. So superlattice is that what is that idea? Is that the certainly, Federico Capasso, which is his use of this one to that quantum cascade ray. That's so. One is that application of the quantum mechanics is certainly. One of this field interesting is quantum computing. So that how you related to quantum computing, so that can we superlattice somehow contribute to all this element of quantum computing? I don't know, but it's application, the use of quantum mechanics kind of things in practical things is very, very interesting field. This is that. You a lot of room where your creativity can play very important role. That's all we can say.
Thanks for the interesting talk. I may miss the point, but I want to ask that you dive into the wood in the U.S. But is there any? You dive into the American wood, right?
Yes.
Why when you were young, after Sony? Is there any specific reason for that? You just say dive into the wood, or
why
like
I went? I went to United States?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yes.
Yeah, I talk of this one. I mentioned to that Alexander Graham Bell's statues. you have to leave the beaten track. This is that dive into the wood. You'll find something you have never seen. So I thought I decided leave Japanese beaten track and dive into American wood, something. But anyway, at that time, to the ESAKI diode, the most application of ESAKI diode done in the United States, and I got many offers from this at that time in the United States, and I think there is a 1957, which I discovered of this ESAKI tunnel diode. 1957 is very important year, because this Russian Sputnik was this 1957. Probably you are too young to observe the Sputnik of this. And United States government worry about science in the United States. They try to get good scientists all over the place, the United States, to boost of their So even in Japan, also more emphasis of science of that time. So effect of Sputnik is very interesting of this one. So that is partly reason I get a good offer from the United States. And I think to go other country is science is as a part of global civilization, so to speak. Science is a part of global civilization. So I think, you better to go someplace, other countries, to see of this, to exchange, to see some other activities. You stimulate your creativity, you stimulate your ideas. So that's at least you spend some time overseas. That I encourage you have an opportunity to go. So why I go United States is the reason I had the opportunity to go there, number one. Number two is certainly I like to see some other peoples to that world of this one, to the certainly interesting to that communicate with some other people of this.
And along that line then, why you came back to Japan?
Well, I was elected the president of this Japan, that voted of this one, so it's very hard to reject once you elected your president. Also, I was 67, and I have a more interesting chart. I have a. Do you have another chip? And別のチップありますか？新しいチップがありませんか？これ出しに10日の日に話すやつ持ってる？Just show to that one. Next to that, next science, technology, science might go 13, page 13. Go, please push. Go ahead. Go ahead. This is the interesting picture, but I'm not going to show. This is the human mind has divided two major categories: judicious mind and creative mind. Allowing to use analysis, understanding, and select to make fair judgment, non-individualistic, essentially cover body, etc. Creative mind allows to point core issue and create new ideas through activity of imagination. All right. Next, please. So, education is two kinds of education. One is being taught, but self-teaching. Self-teaching is more important, but more academia is that being taught. Being taught is more passive and involved listening. Judicious mind acquired. Self-teaching is more emphasis creative mind. So you need to creative mind. Okay. Next. Creative mind provides driving force, progress, science, technology, and civility, sustain advanced human civility. Judicious mind in many countries, the academic education is primarily aimed to nurturing judicious mind in many countries. I like to state here my dogmatic assumptions. If you should believe you're younger than 45, you should read my dogma. If you're older than 45, you don't have to believe. May I have the next slide? This is a creative mind when you are, this is 2070. Creative mind is the decrease with time. And judicious mind is going up. That proof is Einstein's when he's 26 years old, his special relativity, photoelectronic device, Brownian motion. He's only 26. And his general relativity is something like 38 or something like that. After that, his achievement is very small, this one. But anyway, ESAKI diode is 32. Super lattice is just before. And the crossing point is 45. 45 is middle age crisis. But anyway, 45, maybe you can be very creative. That is the other way. So you obviously student younger than 45, don't wait too long. Your creativity is getting loose every year. So, that's what. So, but all the 45, many lecturers, all the 45 don't believe what I said. May I have the next slide, please? So, may I have the next slide? This is many Chinese here. Maybe Confucius is one of this most influential scholar in Asia. He is emphasized judicious mind of this China. But however, important thing, he managed 25 years ago, had been mind bending 30 many things. Some Chinese know of that. But important thing, he said at 30, I stood firm. That's what he said. This is very important. 30 is still he's full of creativity. So it's significant he stood firm in such a young. This fact, obviously, he was independent and quite creative person of this one. May I have the next slide, please? Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. just 一番最初のところやってきませんか。How to win Nobel Prize? Page 35. So if you are interested in how to win Nobel Prize, at least five don't, which anyone interested realizes his creative potential, who knows, may even help you with Nobel Prize. May I have a next slide, please? Number one, don't allow yourself to be trapped by your past experience. Don't hold on to your preconceived notion. If you allow yourself to get caught up in social convention or circumstance, you will not notice the opportunity for a dramatic leap forward when it presents itself. You should be free spirit. May I have the next slide, please? Looking back at history, most laureates have received Nobel laureate work done during 30s. In my case, 30, I already mentioned the second point. I'm trying to make that because of their candor, younger people are able to look things with clear vision. One is not flooded by social convention of the past history. All right. May I have the next slide? Rule number 2, don't allow yourself to overly attach any authority in your field. Don't quote too much Professor ESAKI. This is the great professor. By becoming closely involved with a great professor, you risk losing sight of yourself, forfeiting the free spirit of youth. Although great professor may award the Nobel Prize, it's unlikely that subordinate research ever receive it. May I have next slide, please? Number 3, don't hold on your what don't need. Information-oriented society facilitate easy access to enormous amount of information. Brain can be compared to personal computer with energy consumption about 25 watts. So that in terms of memory capacity, computers, human brain only changed much since ancient times. Therefore, we must constantly inputting, depleting information. We should save only truly vital, relevant information. As the president of the university, I have opportunity to meet many people and exchange message. And I try to discard message name card as soon as possible, so that I always leave maximum memory space. May I have next slide, please? Number 1, don't avoid confrontation. I myself, because embroiled in dispute with a company I was working for many years ago. At the time, it's necessary to put yourself first to defend your own position. My point is fighting is sometimes unavoidable for the sake of self-defense. This is the last one. don't forget your spirit of childhood curiosity is the vital component of this. Having listed 5 rules, let me say that they don't consider sufficient condition for a Nobel Prize. It is the suggested guideline. This is only necessary condition. May I have the next slide? Okay. This was the Carl Nordling, this is Department of Uppsala University, that's some long time ago. This physical splitter, they described my how to Nobel Laureate. So even Swedish people know. He's golden. He said, Carl Nordling, he's a Nobel Committee is physics or something like that. He said, I presented this one actually to the Lindau. His golden rule presented 2 months ago at the Lindau. Lindau, there is a gathered together Nobel laureate give us lecture to the student, mostly German student, and also foreign. But anyway, he authorized my 5 rules so that this is the Swedish authorized 5 rules. Thank you very much.
We are running on time, so I would like to close this session and let's thank our speaker again. Now I will give a microphone back to Dr. Nakamura.
Thank you very much, Professor Nasume and Professor ESAKI, for a very interesting and stimulating presentation. So I think now it's, I think we're going to have group picture. So we have about 1 hour, so that till the Professor Noeri's lecture, so that we're going to go out to the first floor, and then we have a group picture, and then group photo, and then we have a coffee break, and come back. I think some details will be given by this gentleman.